There are hidden pockets of Calgary where the ultra wealthy live, and many people don't even know they exist. And I'm not talking about the new suburban builds or the luxury inner city infills. I'm talking about homes in areas that can sell for $3, $4, $5 million or more. These areas are home to athletes, business leaders, entrepreneurs, and some are even billionaires. And in this video, I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you why these areas are so nice and what they offer. Let's have a look. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about where the ultra wealthy live in Calgary. So what I did is I ran a search on my MLS system for sold properties in Calgary that are over $3 million. And there's no time limit here, like say 90 days back, 180 days back. This is just in the history of Calgary for sold homes over $3 million. And there are only 361 total sales. So this is a price limit in Calgary that you don't see every day. Only a handful of the total sales meet this criteria. And you can see in the map here, there are certain patterns where they're located. And these homes will typically have amazing architecture, huge lots. They'll be close to amazing schools. They'll typically have nice views of lakes, the Rocky Mountains, or canals and stuff like that. And to start off with, I'm going to show you Mahogany in the deep southeast part of Calgary. Now, Mahogany as a whole is not ultra expensive. If I pull up the stats here, you can see the total residential price, $576, and for a detached home, about $812,000. Doesn't meet the criteria as being ultra expensive, but there are pockets of Mahogany that do get quite expensive. And the areas I'm referring to are the homes that are backing onto the lakes. There's multiple lakes throughout Mahogany, but this little island right here, Mahogany Island, is ultra expensive. You can see one that's sold here for $3.5 million. Very nice part of Mahogany. If you come here on a nice sunny day, you'll see people on canoes, little surfboards, paddling around, people fishing. It's quite lively here in the summertime. And the thing I like about Mahogany is there's all sorts of little trails around the lakes. I think it really is a great spot for someone that likes the outdoors. And the thing I like about Mahogany is it is a master plan community. That means you have townhouses, entry-level condos, extremely expensive homes, average price properties. You've got sections where they have good shopping as well, lots of pathways. So I think it's one of the best examples in Calgary of a master plan community. Now, if we go northwest from Mahogany, we'll come across the neighborhood of Lake Bonavista over here. And you can see there are quite a few sales over $3 million in Bonavista. And the neighborhoods are quite different though. I would say Bonavista was built in like the 70s and the 80s, so it is quite a bit older. And I would also say that Bonavista is more private compared to Mahogany. So if you go to Mahogany, there's tons of shopping directly in the neighborhood. There's a lot more condos, townhouses. It's a bit of everything in Mahogany. Even though it has this private members area, like the beaches and stuff like that, there are still plenty of walking paths for the public in Mahogany. But Bonavista, you don't really have that. To access the lake areas, you have to have like a home backing onto it or use the members area over here. You can't run around the lake as like a private person in Calgary. So I would say Bonavista is definitely quieter and it's a bit more private compared to Bonavista or compared to Mahogany. But both neighborhoods are fantastic. The architecture in Bonavista is definitely different. You have a lot of the bungalows in Bonavista, just the era that it was built. So you'll have like wider lots, back alleys, a bit more of the old school design in Bonavista. A lot of the homes are still renovated though, like you can have a modern home in Bonavista. It's just the style of homes is definitely different compared to Mahogany, which is more of your typical, your modern two-story designs. Both areas are fantastic, it's just they are a bit different. Now, if we go northwest from Lake Bonavista, we'll come across this neighborhood called Pump Hill over here. Now, when I think of Pump Hill, I just think of like humongous epic mansions. You'll find some of the biggest homes in Calgary in this neighborhood. And I'll give you an example if I zoom in a bit here. So the neighborhood just to the east of Pump Hill is called Haysboro. This is like your typical south central suburban neighborhood in Calgary. A lot of these lots that you see here are probably 50 by 120 feet deep, which is a big lot. Most families would be quite comfortable in a home that size. But if you look across the street, you can see how big these lots are. Like it kind of reminds me of like the home from Home Alone or Fresh Prince of Bel Aire. They're just humongous epic mansions in this part of Calgary. And around Pump Hill, you've got the Glenmore Reservoir right here. You've got the sailing clubs. You've got the Rocky View Hospital over here. You've got Chinook Center. So it does have a few things going for it location-wise. It's quite easy to get around. You got 14th Street to Glenmore Trail, McLeod Trail over here. So it's a good central location. And if you want like outstanding mega mansion, I think Pump Hill might be a place to consider. Now, if we go north from Pump Hill, we'll come across Bayview. I don't see any properties selling over $3 million here, but I can guarantee you there are probably quite a few in the $2 million range. So that's another neighborhood to consider. And Eagle Ridge, just north of Bayview, definitely very expensive. Not a very big neighborhood though, just one little tiny loop with some very expensive properties. You can see here 3.9 million, 3 million, 3.7, 4.65. What makes Eagle Ridge a nice spot is that you've got the Heritage Park over here. You've got the Glenmore Reservoir, obviously, the Rocky View Hospital, and Chinook Center. I would imagine being so close to the hospital right here that you would have a lot of doctors and maybe surgeons who are living in this part of Calgary. Again, not very big, but ultra exclusive. Now, if we jump across the reservoir, we'll come across Lakeview. That's this neighborhood right over here. And Lakeview is a big neighborhood, but it's not all ultra expensive. You can see here the average price, $898. For a single family home, the average is $1.048. So not ultra expensive, but there's this sub-region right here called Lakeview Village, this rectangle that you see. And the homes that you can find here can be incredibly expensive. You can see here $5.2 million, 3.05, 3.3, 4.325. So you got some very expensive homes, huge lots, excellent access to the reservoir. This is North Glenmore Park that you see right here. This is one of the best parks in the city. And you've also got access, obviously, to the hospital, Calgary Golf and Country Club, Chinook Center again. So it's just a prime location, easy to get onto Crowchild Trail, which will take you through the city going northbound. And you've also got easy access to Glenmore Trail, so that's going east-west. So it's quite a good area for transportation routes, and it just has a lot going for it. I think Lakeview is one of the more stunning locations in this part of Calgary. So that's Lakeview, and there are a few one-offs here and there. You got one in Chinook Park, one in Kelvin Grove. There's one in Windsor Park. Looks like it backs onto the golf course. But if we go into this neighborhood called Bel Aire, you can see a huge concentration of very expensive properties. You can see here one 5.3 million, 5, 3.2, 4.8. There's tons of really high-end homes in Bel Aire. You'll find some cutting-edge designs, massive lots, very prestigious location, very peaceful once you're in there. It is a busy location, though. That's my one drawback to this neighborhood is you have Elbow Drive is a busy road, Glenmore Trail is a busy road, so is 14th Street, so is McLeod Trail. You wouldn't think it would be such an expensive neighborhood just by being in such a busy location. But once you are in the neighborhood, it definitely is very peaceful. But some of the most expensive homes can be found in Bel Aire, and it's definitely one of the more prestigious locations in the city. So that's Bel Aire, and if we go north of Bel Aire, we come across this section right over here where you're going to find the highest concentration of high-end homes in Calgary. And these neighborhoods are all a bit different, but I'll try to tackle it. And this is my favorite part of Calgary in terms of luxury real estate. I think it does offer the most, but that's just my opinion. And I'll start off here with Britannia. What makes Britannia a cool neighborhood is it's very hilly. So starting from the Elbow River, this is a big hill going all the way up Elbow Drive, and the hill starts here as well, and the homes are kind of going up the hill all the way around Britannia, and there's beautiful kind of hilled streets throughout. But the homes that are actually on Britannia Drive, overlooking the Elbow River or parts of the downtown, are stunning. Even though the neighborhood's quite old, there's lots of brand new homes being built here with like cutting edge designs, huge lots, outstanding views. It really is a nice part of Calgary. Easy access to Chinook Center, to McLeod Trail, to Elbow Drive, not too far from downtown. So it's quite a good central location. So that's Britannia. And if you go just to the east of Britannia, you come across Elboya. That's this neighborhood right over here. And there's a few different subsections to Elboya, but I would say the most expensive part of it is this little pocket right over here, tucked into the Elbow River. What makes it good is you got excellent access to the river, obviously. In the summertime, people swim over here. There's a nice beach at Stanley Park. You'll see people playing baseball, barbecuing, walking their dogs, running, riding their bikes. So it's quite lively in the summertime, quite scenic. And there's a few neighborhoods that are quite similar to Elboya. You've got parts of Elbow Park that are also on the river. You've also got parts of Rideau Park and Roxborough. Same kind of idea as Elboya, with excellent estate homes backing onto the rivers. So those are the areas along the river in this part of Calgary. Now I'll tackle Upper Mount Royal and Elbow Park. What makes this part different is it's kind of like the Beverly Hills of Calgary. It's very hilly. You've got elevated positions. You've got excellent views from parts of these neighborhoods. Lots of parks around here. I think it's a great spot because every home is unique here. You've got outstanding architecture. You've got excellent landscaping, humongous homes. I think the biggest lots in Calgary are probably in Upper Mount Royal. And one thing I love about Mount Royal is that it's very walkable as well. You can see 17th Avenue right over here. You'll find lots of the bars, restaurants, and shopping on this street. It's also called the Red Mile. And you can also walk to downtown, which is just over here. So it's a great central location that's extremely high end. So if you got the money, this is probably where I live in Calgary if I could spend, $3, $4, $5 million. Now, if we go north of Mount Royal and the downtown, we'll come across this section called Eau Claire right over here. Now, Eau Claire is known to be a luxury condo segment of downtown. Now, I was a bit surprised to see so many condos selling over $3 million, but there are quite a few here. And I'll just pull up one for you so you can see it. So here's one on Eau Claire Avenue, sold for $4.15 million, 5,200 square feet. The condo fee per month, if you're curious, $4,400. Lots of amenities in this building. I'll give you some photos here. So the downtown, you can see right here, walking distance to downtown. Nice modern design. And I'll just pull up the map again and I'll show you what makes Eau Claire interesting is that just a couple blocks from downtown, a couple blocks from Kensington, this is where you'll find lots of the bars and the restaurants over here. Princess Island Park is right over here. Lots of festivals, walking trails on Princess Island Park. And along the Bow River, there's also pathways that stretch all along it. So it's kind of like an oasis in the downtown heart of Calgary. And it can be quite expensive as well, even if you're buying a condo. And next up, I'm going to tackle this giant section right over here because it is quite similar. And what makes it very expensive is that there's actually a big ridge that runs all the way from about here to here. And the homes that are on these ridges can get very expensive. You can see Toronto Crescent over here with some stunning properties. You've got Briar Crescent over here with a big congregation of high-end properties. And probably the most expensive is you've got Crescent Road over here. And these properties are directly in front of downtown, have outstanding views. And you can see some over here, 7.16 million. You've got one here for 11.1 million and another one here, 6 million. So these are some of the most expensive properties in all of Calgary. And again, just across from downtown with outstanding views of the entire Bow River and the downtown core of Calgary. Now, if we look at the northern part of Calgary, there's a few one-offs here and there that you can see here. These are mostly like industrial land that's been rezoned for like new neighborhoods. So I'm not going to touch on these ones. Occasionally, you will see a property in Varsity Estates that can cross over the 3 million threshold. I would say for the most part, Varsity Estates, you get homes like into the 1.5 to 2.5 if I'm estimating. Great location though, but not quite into the 3 million range for the most part. You can also see the odd one here and there in Bonavista that's backing onto the river. And last up on my list here is the west side of Calgary. Now, on average, the west side of Calgary is the most expensive if you look at the total residential price. It's a very high-end part of Calgary, and there's a few neighborhoods in particular that you can find homes over $3 million, and that would be Springbank Hill over here and Aspen Woods. I'm surprised West Springs didn't make the list. There are nice pockets of West Springs as well that can get quite expensive, but for homes over $3 million, this is what you see on the west side. Aspen Woods, you can find some cutting-edge designs here, some very modern properties. You can see some here sold for $7.525 million, so quite expensive. And the big draw for this part of Calgary has always been there's just top-notch schools around the west side, both public and private. I think most of the best schools in Calgary are around here, and that's a big draw for families. So again, some cutting-edge designs, a fairly new part of Calgary. And what I like about the west side is it's very scenic. You've got excellent views of the Rocky Mountains and the foothills. Springbank Hill is more elevated compared to Aspen Woods, and you've just got outstanding views in this part of Calgary. And it's a very family-friendly part of the city, and it's a great spot for people that have a bit of money and they want great schools, great scenery, and not all that far from downtown as well. And last up on my list are the areas outside of Calgary that are actually in Rocky County. So you've got Elbow Valley down here, you've got Springbank over here, and you've got Bears Paw. Now, I will make videos in the future on these areas, so I'm not going to cover it in too much detail. The main idea behind these areas is that they're all country residential acreages that are all quite expensive. It would be hard to find properties in Bears Paw or Springbank under $2 million these days, and you'll find tons of properties that are selling $4, $5, $6 million or more. So if you want lots of space but not being too far from Calgary, these areas are definitely for high income earners. You'll find a lot of like the athletes live out here, a lot of business owners. Very expensive part of Calgary, very scenic. Parts of Bears Paw and Springbank, you've got outstanding views of the Rocky Mountains, and it's a bit different from Calgary. Obviously, it's country living, and that's why I'm just going to talk briefly about it. In the future, I will make videos on these neighborhoods. Well, there you go. That's my take on where the ultra-wealthy live in Calgary. Any questions whatsoever, I'd love to be a resource, whether that's buying, selling, or relocating. Feel free to reach out, call, text, email, or comment. And I've got some free resources for you in the pinned comment, a buyer's guide, seller's guide, and a relocation guide. Feel free to reach out. I would love to help you out, and I will see you on the next video.